What up, my people, and welcome back to the Ricardo Report's National Review, powered by Football University. On today's show, we're gonna get educated by my main man and U.S. Army All-American Bowl National Scouting Director, Eric Richards. We'll go beneath the pads with Army All-American Bowl nominee, Michael Salahuddin, and I'll be showing love to last year's 8th grade player of the year, my dude, Antoine Littleton. Coming up first though, it's not every day that we start the show with a former professional athlete, but this is the National Review, so that's just how we do. Joining me now via satellite, 9-year NFL vet, former University of Maryland Terp, and FBU coach, is my guy, Mr. Lamont Jordan. Mr. Jordan, welcome to the National Review.
What's going on, man? Thanks for having me.
You know, obviously you did a ton of great things on the field. What I'm always amazed by though is not only how much you care about these kids, but how willing you are to give them your time. Where does that come from?
Man, I just remember growing up as a kid, and I looked at my whole career, and, you know, a lot of people would say, oh, he was just naturally gifted, but it was about so much more than that. First of all, I had a mom that did a great job of raising me. I never met my father. You know, she kept me well fed, but the most important thing that she did for me was she disciplined me. And then as I grew up and I started, you know, went to high school, my coaches and my teachers, they were there to discipline us. Times when I was coming up was different. You know, you had to go to school and get your education. Education was very important. And I know how important it is for these kids to be able to see a person that actually did it. You can give money, and money looks good, and everybody wants to talk about giving money, but I'm a father now, and the only thing I was doing was just giving my son money, and I'm not being a good father. Your presence is critical. So allowing these kids to see a guy who's from the area, that went to Seward High School or public school, went to University of Maryland, stayed home, and played 9 years in the NFL, it's important that these kids are able to see that, be able to high five you, be able to play football with you, but more importantly, be able to learn from you. And so that's why coming back, working at different camps that I work and doing different speaking engagements, that's why it's important for me. I've lived it. I've done it. I just want to give back to these kids in a way that I know is going to benefit them more than money.
Transitioning on to the field, the season has obviously started and Colin Kaepernick did not get signed, and there's a great chance that he won't get signed again. Coming from someone who played in the league, again, 9 years, you also worked with 4 different owners. Is this something that surprised you?
I'm really not surprised. You know how it is. This is how the world works. If you're going to hurt our money, then we just need to do what's best to keep you away.
Right.
And what Colin Kaepernick, you know, what he's doing as far as taking the knee, his protest, I think he's trying to start, he was trying to start a dialogue and just highlight the injustices that are going on to us as African Americans, especially in this country. So it doesn't surprise me. Personally, this is a clear-cut case of, if his talent was far greater,
right,
then he would be signed right now.
Right.
Because like I said, if you're going to mess our money up, we don't want you around. Now, if you can play and you're going to help us win and we think that you're going to be a top quarterback, then we're willing to take that chance. And I think the evidence has been shown throughout years over the NFL when you look at the guys who have either, you know, domestic violence, drug use and abuse, guns, things of that nature. All this man did was take a knee and try to bring some notoriety, start a dialogue, and hopefully create some change with what's going on out here in the real world.
But since he was a fringe player, you're not allowed to do that.
I mean, that's just how it is. You work with the youth. It's no different than the youth. That kid that's talented enough that may get a Division I scholarship that everybody's tagging these 5 stars to, that kid is going to get more of an opportunity than a kid who, when you look at him, he may not go Division I. He may not be a NFL player. So if he's not going to do any of those things, it's not going to help our businesses. If you can't help us win, if you being here is going to cause more of a distraction and you're not going to help us win, that just seems to be the case. And I think that that's the case with Colin Kaepernick.
Sitting at home, we all have our opinions on this, and it's easy from our rocking chairs. Some of us believe that Colin Kaepernick disrespected the police, disrespected the military, and in some regard disrespected our entire country. Others, though, feel as though he was someone who gave a voice to the otherwise unheard. As a former 9-year NFL vet, someone who played in the league, who stood on those sidelines, if you were in the league today, would you be standing or would you be kneeling during the national anthem?
I don't know. I really don't know. It would be easy for me to sit here and give a politically correct answer that may sound good, but the reality is I don't know. For me, the national anthem, I was praying during the national anthem. The best part of the national anthem for me was when the national anthem was over, because that lets me know that, hey, what we're here to do, it's time to go. Now, if Jordan Sparks was singing, then yeah, I'm gonna listen to the national anthem because I love her voice and I'm a fan. But for the most part, I never really paid attention to the words and things of that nature. For me, it was just something that we did before the game. I think it's something that, you're just programmed to do. So I can't give an honest answer about whether I would take a knee or what I would do, because I'm not in that position, and I can't. I just don't feel. I wouldn't feel right just giving a politically correct answer. So would I stand? Would I kneel? I don't know what I would do, but I will find some way that I can to support what it is that he's doing. So it really doesn't matter if I agree with what he's doing or not. At the end of the day, what he did has some success.
Because we're talking about it right now.
Because we're talking about it right now, and what Colin Kaepernick is doing is he's forcing people to talk about things that they don't want to talk about. And at the end of the day, if something is uncomfortable and you're put in a position where you have to show your true stance that in public that may have some of your private friends looking at you in a funny way, that's a tricky situation to be in. But that's the reality of the world. I like what Colin Kaepernick is doing. He's taking a stand for something that he believes in. And those who feel like he's disrespecting the police, he's disrespecting military, he's disrespecting this, I think it's disrespectful to be pulled over while driving just for simply being black. I think it's disrespectful to have my rights violated simply because somebody's wearing a uniform and thinks that we're supposed to bow down to them. At the end of the day, what protects us as citizens from police officers who feel like it's okay to break the law, especially when everything that's on TV is showing that, hey, you can break the law. I listen to, you hear people all the time say, especially when you talk about us as black men, oh, well, I was afraid, I was frightened, I feared for my life. Well, how do you think that we feel as black men simply just driving our cars? A police officer will pull up behind us, and now we're full of anxiety for simply being black, driving in a neighborhood that they say that we shouldn't be in. Is that really what America stands for? Is that what the national anthem is about? Freedom and justice for all? I mean, what are we really doing here? So I think that that's what it's about, and I'm just hoping that we not only will continue the conversations, I'm prayerful and I'm hopeful that something positive will come out of it, and the only positive thing that can come out of it is to change the behavior.
That's beautiful. My man, I tell you what, bro, no point in us speculating when we can hear from someone like you who's actually been there. Again, huge shout outs for everything that you do for the kids, bro. I'll see you soon.
No problem. Thanks for having me, man. Anytime.
That's my dude, Lamont Jordan, and coming up, Eric Richards is going to stop by the National Review to let us know why there are only 32 5-stars each and every year. You got to keep it locked to find out why. It's the National Review, powered by Football University.
Talent alone is not enough. Unlock your potential at Football University. Learn from our staff of NFL experienced coaches. Push your mental and physical abilities to their limits, both on the field and in the film room. Create your future. Visit footballuniversity.org. Football University. Technique plus talent beats talent alone.
Another huge shout out to my main man Lamont Jordan. You are watching the Ricardo Reports National Review, powered by Football University. Star-studded show that I got here for you today. There are scouts and then there are scouts. Joining me now via satellite, my main man and U.S. Army All-American Bowl National Recruiting Director, Mr. Eric Richards. Eric, before we even get into exchanging pleasantries though, bro, this is the week of 9/11. This is the week that we remember, the week that we never forget. What does this week, this day, this moment, what does it all mean to you?
It hits home every year. Our parents and grandparents always got emotional when December 7th rolled around, and I never really understood it as a kid. You go, okay, there was a bombing and, in Pearl Harbor, and it happened and everything else. And then when something comes along and you're an adult and you can understand the impact that 9/11 had on, and is still having to this day. I mean, you're talking about, the kids of people that lost loved ones in that tragic event are growing up motherless, fatherless, grandfatherless. When this day rolls around, no matter if it's a hurricane that happens on this day, if there's a fire, if there's a great football game or anything else, this is always at the forefront of my mind is 9/11.
Truer words have not been spoken, my brother. Simple yet very difficult and complex question for you now. In your opinion, what does it mean to be a 5-star student athlete? And to that point, how do recruiting services define them?
A lot of people, even when I meet on the street, don't understand when the recruiting services tag somebody a 5-star, what they're trying to do. There's only 32 5-stars given out each year by each recruiting service.
Really?
Rivals will have 32, ESPN will have 32, Scout will have 32, 24/7 Sports, who to me is the industry leader in that field, only selects 32. And the reason, if 32 sounds familiar, Chad, how many NFL teams are there?
There's 32. Wow.
32. So what they're trying to do is say that this kid or this athlete, I hate calling them kids, and I shouldn't. when you look them eye to eye, they're not kids. This athlete has the potential, and the key word is their potential, to be a first-round selection in the NFL draft in 4 years. And that's when they hand out that 5-star, they don't hand it out lightly. And that's why a lot of times you might have a 3-star or a 4-star that's a better high school football player
Right.
than said 5-star, but that might be his ceiling. He might be a very, very good high school player. He is going to be a good college player, but his game doesn't translate to the pro level as of right now, that day, 5-6 years previous to that particular NFL draft.
Thus, to be clear then, measurables, height and weight, they matter in these evaluations.
Oh, absolutely. It's probably why, Jalen Hurts was a low 4-star. I mean, you look at him now, and even Lamar Jackson was passed on by both big all-star games, us and Under Armour. So, the recruiting services, a lot of people say, oh, what do they know? What do they know? And in all actuality, they're hitting at a better rate of naming these kids 4 and 5 years out than the scouting departments themselves in the NFL.
You mentioned Trevor Lawrence. I'm going to raise you at Justin Fields. Am I correct in my evaluation in saying that these two quarterbacks are head and shoulders above the competition in the rest of their class?
Yeah, this year, it's kind of unique where they've separated themselves from the pack so far. You hate to say sure thing, Chad, but in the last 10 years I've been doing this, I've never seen two quarterbacks that are more of a sure thing than those two. And, that's why the debate is who is one, who is two. You can talk about that all day long, but it's just those two you're talking about. And, when you get a 6'3", 220-pound quarterback, Justin Fields, that ran a 4.5 240 at Nike opening and has all the intangibles, and then on the other end you have a 6'6" quarterback that's 45-2 in his high school career, has won 2 state championships, and probably is going to win a third in Trevor Lawrence. It makes our job a lot easier. If we're just arguing over who's one and who's two, I'll take that all day long.
Eric, when you have a decision to be made, when it comes down to two student athletes who are essentially head-to-head, when they're almost equal, how do you choose? How do you decide who's in and who's out?
That's a great question, Chad. Let's talk wide receivers and DBs. With the evolution of 7-on-7, it has brought out players that probably in the past 10 to 15 years ago would have been basketball players.
Correct.
May have played another sport. A lot more demand for a 6'4", 200-pound wide receiver as opposed to a 6'4" power forward at the collegiate level. And so what that has done is it's clouded up the field of wide receivers and DBs. And what happens is outside of those first 2 or 3 players that, are head and shoulders above everybody, it starts getting to where you're splitting hairs. And I have very few hairs to split. I split a lot of them. But you start splitting hairs over, okay, this guy ran a 4 4.58 40. This guy ran a 4.58 40. This kid's 6'3". This kid's 6'3". This kid has 100 receptions. This kid has 101. And then it gets all even, and there may only be one spot left. And the only thing we know to go to when everything's even like that, Chad,
yes,
is character. And
wow.
I hate to say it, and kids hear it till they're blue in the face, but it really makes a difference in your life and what path you get on, to your character off the field. I mean, trust me, I go into a locker room, everybody is like, "Hey, Coach Eric," and it's everybody's the greatest Leave It to Beaver guy there is. But when I turn the corner, it's who is being that Eddie Haskell and not being true to themselves. Out in the community, in the churches, in the halls at school, and we find out. It doesn't take us long to ask around and find out, hey, is this guy real? Is this guy doing something he shouldn't be doing off the field? And when it comes down to that, I can't tell you how many guys have lost a Army All-American spot over that.
Listen, man, character counts. All of my student athletes out there, you have got to be listening right now. Eric, to that extent then, are you saying that student athletes have to be cognizant of what they're posting on their social media, mainly because people are monitoring?
Well, that's made it easier for us. I mean, when we could go to a kid's Instagram or Snapchat or even Twitter and, scroll through there and see things that probably don't align with what our sponsors' values are and what our company, All-American Games values are, it makes it an easy choice for us. All this technology is good in some ways, but it has its distractions and its, non-benefits in other ways. And one of it is everything you do is written in pen, not pencil. That's the biggest thing I'd like to drive home to your audience.
Dropping knowledge. Eric Richards, thank you very much, my friend, for stopping by the National Review.
All right, Chad, we'll see you now.
Coming up, what does an FBU freshman All-American and a U.S. Army All-American Bowl nominee have in common? They're both next on the National Review.
Dave Diaz-Infante, offensive line coach, FBU. San Diego Chargers, Philadelphia Eagles, and Denver Broncos, two-time Super Bowl champion. FBU is for the players that want to be the best. It's for the best being trained by the best. It's the best thing you could ever do. It's the FBU experience.
Antoine Littleton. You may know him as Baby Boss, St. John Cadet, GYFL, or even FBU National Champion. Well, now the young man has a new moniker. That's FBU Freshman All-American. Antoine burst onto the national scene a year ago, leading Coach Terrence Bird's Team Maryland to an 8th grade FBU National Championship. He was also named 8th grade Player of the Year, and now he's been selected to the 2017 FBU All-American Freshman Bowl. I had an opportunity to catch up with Twan, and he said it's an honor to be acknowledged in this way for all the hard work that I put in over the years, and I appreciate FBU for selecting me again. Another shout out and huge congrats going out to my main man Antoine, Big Twan, and of course, Miss Rakita. It takes a village. Washington, D.C. When you think of fights and battles within the district, you're often thinking of Democrats and Republicans. But there's another side to the district that doesn't get shown on TV quite as often. These mean streets break the will of far too many and take lives far too often. But alas, a rose grows from the concrete. Today, we go beneath the pads with U.S. Army All-American Bowl nominee and University of Southern California commit, Michael Salahuddin. Thank you for having us here today, brother. I'll get you started on an easy one here. First and foremost, how long have you played football? And can you remember the first time you put on a set of pads?
It all started with the Ridgeville Italians, then I transformed to the Metro Bengals. Probably about that 5, 6, 7 age range, that's when I started.
A lot of student athletes see sport as a stress relief. They see it as a way to escape. On a personal level, what has this game done for you?
Football definitely it's been all, it's just what I've been doing all my life. It's just what I've always came to relieve stress and just to get out of certain situations. And so I definitely use football just to ease my mind a little bit.
Now, I want to be real here. You're from Washington, D.C. More specifically, you're from right here in Ward 7. There's a lot of people out there who don't know what that means, but you and I do. This is the part of D.C. that they don't show on TV. You are, in my opinion, the most recognizable student athlete from the district. What does it mean to you to put your district, to put your state, your community, your family on your back?
It's definitely a lot of shoes to fulfill. Being as though a lot of young athletes are looking up to me, I definitely gotta portray a certain image everywhere I go. I gotta be able to show them right from wrong, and be able to show them what's not to do and what's to be done.
Keeping it real here, bro. To that point, there's a lot of people who come from these streets, from this community, who never make it out. What has allowed for you to be successful and to stay on this path towards accomplishing your dreams?
Just always staying out of trouble, just trying to lead by example, staying away from the crowd, man, just listening to my mom, my family, everything they told me to do, all the right stuff that they tried to instill in me since I was a young child. It just stuck with me, and I try to portray the best image that I possibly can.
And at this point, you just about made it. I mean, this is your senior year right here. You are literally months away from walking across this stage here at H.D. Woodson High School and walking directly into USC, one of the most prestigious colleges or universities in the nation. What's it gonna mean to your family, to your community, to D.C. as you make that transition?
It's definitely something I always dreamed about. You know, just having this college opportunity, having my mom to go through all the joy over the last couple of months. It's definitely something I always thought about and dreamed about, and it's finally coming true for me. And so now it's just, what am I going to do with this opportunity?
There are kids in the community who look at you as so much more than just a student athlete, though. They look at you as so much more than just a football player. They see you as that role model. They see you as, in many ways, a superhero. Do you ever think about that? And if so, is that a burden for you, or do you wear that like a badge of honor?
This is something I always think about, man, because like I said, the tables have turned. I was once in a situation, I was once in a position, and now I'm in a different situation, and I know that I used to look up to the guys that's in my situation, and so I definitely always want to treat those guys and motivate those guys, because this opportunity that I have is definitely something that they can always get and obtain. It's just hard work and dedication.
Last question. For all those kids out there who are looking up to you right now, all those kids who could be at a crossroads in their life, they could either go right and follow in the footsteps of yourself onto success, or they could go left and fall to the wayside. What words of advice, what words of encouragement would you have for those young men?
Football is always going to take care of itself, just ball on the field and hit the weight. But it's all about academics, man. Academics is going to take you from point A to point B. Without academics, you're just going to be another athlete out here with a waste of time. All your success and accolades are just based off the foundation of education and academics. And so you gotta have that straight, man. 3.0 or better.
That's what's up. Mike, you're a good dude. Thank you, brother. That's my dude right there. That's going to do it for us here today. Want to give another huge shout out to all of our guests for stopping by. Of course, Michael Salahuddin, Lamont Jordan, and Eric Richards. Also want to extend a special thanks to you for having the Ricardo Reports National Review, powered by Football University, be the highest rated, ranked, and viewed youth and high school sports football show in the nation. On behalf of everyone that made today possible, I'm Chad Ricardo. I'll see you next week. Happy birthday, Mom.